Is it on us, like swivel, like the,
Yeah.
everything things?
It moves when we move.
Isn't that seven of them?
Like the owl.
I've never had it. Pat can get in person.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Monday, October 20th, 2025 Seaford Board of Education meeting. My name is Kim Hopkins, and I'll be presiding over this meeting and calling the meeting to order at 6 p.m. The next item on our agenda is approval of the agenda as presented. I'm gonna have a motion.
Sarah Savage, I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion with a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. The next item on our agenda is the pledge of allegiance, everyone of silence. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
and please remain standing for a moment of silence. Please be seated. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from the September 15th, 2025 board meeting. Next, everyone had the opportunity to review it. If there are no changes that need to be amended, I just need a motion to approve.
Or certainly to approve the minutes.
Second.
All right, with the motion of the second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions or recusals? And I'll put things that I was in there. And I appreciate Dr. Vincent taking over for me in my absence. Thank you.
Getting out of business.
I heard that.
One to quit.
We do not have any public participation. The next item on our agenda is reports and presentations, with the first one being our a superintendent's communication, and that will be presented by.
So I bring you greetings from our superintendent in Bar Harbor, Maine, or as she said, Bar Harbor. So just a couple things. Had a week ago, had a very successful homecoming with all the events of Spirit Week, the parade, and capped off with a running clock victory with our football team. The next day, we had a golf tournament for the Secret Educational Foundation, which was very successful. Thank you to all those who sponsored and participated in it. I do think Mr. Rice's team finished better than my team. And last week on Tuesday, we were up in Dover for the Teacher of the Year announcement for the State Teacher of the Year. But obviously, we can congratulate Brandy Wine's Teacher of the Year for winning the state, and very proud of the way Karen represented us, and look forward to the S-Boy in early December and trying to win that for the Nest. And that is all I have.
Awesome, thank you for that. The next item on our agenda is board communication, and from the board, we just want to, thank all of our principals. It is National Principals Month, and we do thank you guys for all that you do, because we know it's not hard trying to maintain a budget, trying to make sure all of your, the educators are present for call outs and maintaining the buildings. So we do appreciate everything that you guys do. Also, we were there at the Teacher of the Year with Kim, so our service city as is. And I want to mention about the class week, and I just want to say, you guys, we appreciate all your hard work today. Because I knew when I logged in and couldn't get into class week at work, it was kind of like, okay, how do we move forward in the day with everything being electronic? So for all you that had to work with that and work around that today, we appreciate you too, because we know that can be frustrating. But the show must still go on. Kids still need to be educated, and business still needs to, keep being pushed forward. Colleagues, do y'all have anything?
No.
All right, thank you. And the next thing that we have would be school choice presentation, and that'd be by Mr. Zoll.
This is the annual school choice presentation that is mandated by our wonderful state code, where we present to our community on school choice for the year. This year, I'm going way too fast here. Goodness gracious. Applications are accepted this year from November 3rd till January 14th of, that's basically to say 2026. We do accept applications outside of those deadlines for two reasons. One, kindergarten students can apply up until the first day of school. And anyone can apply outside of those if they can show good cause. And the good cause that you see is up there. I'm not going to read them to you. I can certainly give you a copy of that if you need to try to have it.
We have one.
So people can apply outside of that for good cause, and we'll normally submit it to the principal then for their thoughts on accepting school choice before we bring it. Enrollment for school choice continues until you go to a new building. So in our school, if you apply in kindergarten, you basically can stay school choice through second grade. If you apply in third grade, you can stay through fifth grade, sixth through eighth, and then ninth through 12th. You have to reapply all those levels. If you don't, then and say your school choice is revoked, but it's not really revoked, you just lose your school choice status, and you have to go back to your home school. To stay enrolled in school choice, the things that we look at obviously are attendance, grades, and their discipline records, and the principals use that to determine if they want to accept the student into the next grade band or students. Transportation wise, if you sign up for school choice, you're basically saying that you are responsible for transporting your students to the school of choice. We do make some exceptions at some points if it's to a daycare or a stop that's already existing. We will put kids on a bus to daycare or other stops. We don't create new stops for students, but we will put them on buses to take them to large group stops. Termination of choice, parents always have the right, if they want to terminate, say they're a kindergartner and they do not want to come back next year for first grade, they just have to let the board know by December 1st. And then the approval or disapproval of those withdrawals has to take place by December 15th. Timeline for this year, just to go over with everybody, on November 12th, right around there, we will send applications out to all our second, fifth grade, and eighth grade students who are school choice, so they can apply, to go into the next building. And right around that same time, the next day, we'll send probation forms out to our principals. So they will look at all the students in their building who are school choice and basically look at their attendance, their discipline records, and their grades, determine if they want to put them on probation for the rest of the school year, have a meeting with parents to talk about that. And that basically is coming up with a plan for what they can do to not lose their school choice status. We'll send those probation letters out to parents after I meet with principals and talk about them. In January 8th, we'll take all of the applications to the principals, they can look at them, and then all of the applications that we get through the school choice period, you will see on January 20th. So January 20th, school meeting will probably have a lot of school choice students on. Because that's just when the window closes. Probation I talked about, you can be put on probation. This is by both state code and our school board policy. You can go on probation for attendance, grades, or discipline issues. Principals do have to fill a form out, and we do send a letter to parents so that are aware of it. And then we do our best to make sure we meet with the parents as well, talk about what school choice is and why their student is on probation. Revoking school choice, every once in a while, we do have a student who accepts the school choice, but then has attendance issues or discipline issues that we will revoke. We've done that in the past with a few students, but it's very rare that we do that only kind of for big circumstances. And then this is just the statistics that we have. These numbers are not finalized. I think Mr. Cameron has done all of ours, but not every school has done their verification on the school choice thing. So these are tentative. They're not going to go up and down a lot, but they're close. And you kind of see the numbers throughout the years of students who have choice out of Seaford, and then the students that also choice in the Seaford. So that number, kind of that plus minus number has gone down since 2021. Kind of stayed roughly the same as it did last year, along with the numbers of students that kind of go to each district. Break it down a little farther, just looking at some numbers. It's most grade levels, choice-wise, are roughly the same, between 10 and 20 students. For some reason, sixth grade this year has a big number of students that are choiced out. That's 28. And that number obviously does not include charter, which is a different process. But I do have those numbers too if you want them, but that's not really part of the choice.
Well, can you explain the IR? I understand the neighboring districts, but why are these kids on the IR? Anywhere in the school district?
I don't know.
I would say for the most part, when you look at the names, it's usually a child of the district. In employees or it's coming in, and
maybe they had started there and they just want to continue for it to go there or something as well.
Or staff members that get hired over there or vice versa over here. Because we have a few teachers that live in Indian River and choice their students here as well.
Understood.
And we have small number, that's not every school. There's a couple kids, Cape, back and forth. I think we have one that choices here from Cape and a couple that choice over through Cape too. So that's not all of our choice numbers, there's just the four biggest ones that we choose back and forth.
Really, those are the four biggest ones.
What is that?
Those are the four.
Yes,
biggest
those are the four
ones. You know,
biggest
there's
ones
one that,
by a long
you know,
shot.
it's-
And Woodbridge is by far the biggest one.
Do we ever get the information of, just like, when you're talking about the demographic of where we live, the whole Western Sussex pretty much has the same demographics. What is I guess, the information or feedback you feel why they were making the choice into Woodbridge?
I really can't tell you any like specific reason as to why that number to Woodbridge is so high. Like I don't, I've asked some people, some of it's because siblings have gone there, so they want to keep their, you know what I mean, if you have a fifth grader that already had choice there, you, why they did it originally, I really can't tell you. I wish I had an answer for you on that one, like I really do, so I can try to solve it, but like, it's so. I mean, I know 124 kids sounds like a lot, it's roughly 10 kids per grade level.
Yeah, I'm still trying to understand the psychology of it.
I
You're
don't-
talking about demographic and social economics, it's the same. Or similar.
Yeah. I mean, from talking to some people, obviously, and it's changing a little bit now, and hopefully it keeps going that way, but I know. Football, there's a lot of kids for whatever reason that played Pop Warner in Woodbridge, and so they already knew some kids up there, so they choice up there to stay up there for football. Woodbridge had a pretty good football tradition for a little bit, so you did lose some athletes that were up there, but I can't, I mean, that's just a me thing, that's not like a definite.
and you also have to think about, you talk about demographics. They got a nice brand spanking new building a few years ago, and some people are attracted to the movement thing, so. Go there.
That's what
Any other questions about school choice? And we'll publish it, I'll work with Ms. Brett, obviously, get it out there, that way parents know when the school choice door opens, we'll put it on social media. And I will also send a phone call out, and letters to all the kids who already choiced, try to ask them or convince them to make sure they stay here for the following.
Thank you. The next item that we have is JJE student fundraising activities.
Yes. Yeah, no problem. So this policy JJE is just review. There will be some stuff coming to you next month, JGE-R with the regulations. We have met as directors and discussed it at principal's cabinet, just some things around the ever changing world of fundraising to a point. If you think about when we do a social media policy, sometimes, you know, as soon as you list any Facebook, different things, it's never going to be up to date because there's always something new coming in. So we have to look at a few things, especially around some of the activities that are newer in fundraising that aren't traditional of, hey, I'm selling candy bars or
Right.
things like that. So we're getting input from, we talked about as directors, we got some input from principals, and we will bring those regs to the policy committee in November, which Dr. Savage and Mr. Wright serve on, and go from there. But there is no change to the current policy as is.
The next item on our agenda is GDJ-R, personnel records and power regulation.
Yeah, so as you can see, as we went through the markup of what was there, we brought to you last month GBJ, the policy. And I don't think there was a substantive change, a small substantive change to that one, but these are the regs. And so really what this does is brings us in line with what we do. We don't put evaluations in the personnel files because of the electronic system now through data service center, when you can get to it when ClassLink isn't down. But it kind of brings us more in line with what we're actually doing, so we're not violating policy. And this is just what has occurred over time with the different electronic systems that have come in. And also kind of clarifies a few things, because at one point it says like an administrator must be present when reviewing a file. That really needs to be the director of human resources that is present, because I'll speak for myself. I understand the rules that go along with the personnel file as opposed to somebody else. Obviously, I'm not available, there'll be a designee, but it just kind of clarifies everything in that process. So this is a regulation, and obviously, as you know, Ms. Hoffman, the board knows, you do not vote on regulations, but we bring them to you to, to let you know what we're doing and changing.
The next item is GCC R, professional staff leaves and absences.
Yeah, if it would be okay with you, I'd like to put 6.06 and 6.07 together, because they're basically the same regulation, except one's for professional staff and one's for support staff. Stop me if you've heard this before, because this is the third or fourth time I've now brought this to you to change it, because the Department of Labor has kicked this back to us once again, in regards to the Delaware paid family leave. So in order for us to get grandfathered under the paid parental leave and short-term disability, we had to make some changes to our policy to match things in the state. The biggest one, if you recall, when I brought it to you the last time, was that the adoption age from birth to 6 was removed. And now we had to add the addition of foster parents in there, that you're available, that you can take paid parental leave if you qualify for it, if a foster student is placed with you. Here is the rub right now. We're in education and we're governed under Title 14. Pretty much the rest of the state government is governed under Title 19. Title 19 and Title 14 are in direct opposition to each other in regards to the birth to 6 and the foster care. We've talked to the department about this. Had an HR meeting, a DASPA meeting with all the HR directors on Thursday of last week. We're informing the chiefs as well, because we're doing everything we're supposed to, because this is so that January 1st, 2026, we're in compliance with the Delaware Paid Family Leave Act, but it's still going to make Title 14 non-compliant with Title 19, and we're governed by Title 14. So we're doing what we're supposed to. So the Department of Labor gives us a thumbs up. I've already gotten 2 thumbs up from them, and then a thumbs down saying, no, you got to do this. So that's what we're doing in the regulation. We're doing what we need to do to meet the standard of what we have to do. So my hope is that I not have to bring this back to you again because of something else. And we did explain, and Aaron Schroeder, who works for SBO, is coordinating all of this and deserves some sort of peace prize for the work that he's doing with this. And one of the things we expressed to his HR directors on Thursday was we can't keep hitting a moving target. And that's what we've had to do, because we've made these changes. They give us, remember, we made the first change back in December, so we were compliant when we were supposed to be by January 1 of 25. And we were good, and then in March, like, no. Then we made another change. And in August, I brought it to you because they said no. So hopefully this is the last time we have to bring it. They said they would not be asking any other changes at this time, because they understand that in ours, in the case, it's regulation, so I just have to bring it for you out of information.
Right.
But in some districts, it's in policy, and they're having to do 2 or 3 readings depending on what their plan, what their roles are, their policy is. And so getting by December is starting to become iffy. If you're not acting on it now, you might have a special board meeting. But
Right.
we will be in compliance after tonight's board meeting.
So the regulations supersede the policy. So if somebody challenged us on it, we had
So
somebody that could
as long as we have it, so our regulations go with our policy. The
Okay.
board approves the policy, and then we put in the regulation how it kind of operates. The policy is the general overall
Correct.
arch of this is what we do, and then the meat and potatoes of it and how we operate are in the regulation. And we always bring that to you for informational purposes, what we're doing this evening.
Regulation part of the procedure,
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
like how we had our PMPs and stuff.
Okay.
Good job with that, y'all.
Yeah.
I do enjoy the conversation about the 18, they get 18-year-old and they get paternity leave and maternity leave and all that.
Correct. While they're at school, they're bonding.
So the next item we have is IJL-R, library material selection and adoption regulation.
Yes, another regulation that you guys dealt with in August, and I guess we were a little too ahead. We took all the the suggestions of a model policy from the library folks. And then after we approved this regulation somewhere in September, they said, oh, you need to add this other part. And so I brought this to Dr. Savage and Mr. Wright, and it actually is good. So it's number 8 is only the following individuals may make objections to library materials in the school library. So it does tell you who can do that in that place. So once again, it's something we already updated based on the State Library Committee's recommendation, and we're adding the other piece that they asked us to add.
Good job, y'all. Next item is BEDH-E, public participation at board meetings exhibit.
Okay, so the public participation at board meetings, we had to make some changes due to some laws that came in effect beginning July 1, or when the governor signed them. So the biggest change there is, you look halfway down the page, says attendance at meeting. They have to mark whether they're going to be in person or virtual, because we now have to give an avenue for someone to make public commentary virtually. Which then, if you look down, it didn't make sense with the way the sheet flowed to put that new bullet point at the bottom. So we put at the top, the public comment may be made in person or virtually. So this is the blue form. Basically is what this is. We always talk about public participation. This brings it up to, it meets the new standard of the laws that were passed with the last legislative session. Once again, this is an exhibit, does not need your approval, but we're bringing it to you for informational purposes, same as we do regulation.
All right, next item is GBGA-E, staff health, employee emergency card exhibit.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about GBGA later. And this is just the exhibit. This is the blue card. I don't know, a lot of blue, as you can see up there. I guess that's why we're Blue Jays. This is just showing you that this is the card. It's a little bit of a cleaner copy than what I have here in front of me. That might have been done on a Ditto machine.
Probably.
So we're just kind of updating and clarifying a little bit, but this is the blue card that all employees fill out. We have the exhibit for, so just going to kind of show you the new updated version of it. Nothing really changed, except it's a better copy now that we're in the 21st century.
Card is still the same.
We might have your somewhere, Dr. Savage. Yeah.
Same card.
All right, so the next item that we have on our agenda, we have our action items. And the first one being school choice. So before you guys, of course, we can't say any names, you can see the list of students that are on here, and I need a motion.
So Vincent, I make a motion to approve school choice applications 2026-68 through 2026-73 as presented, and to deny school choice application 2026-74.
Dr. Strada, second one.
All right, so I have a motion and I have a second. All in favor, say aye. Oppose? Any opposition or recusals? All right, and that motion carries. I'm gonna try to read this. It's very, very small. I'm used to seeing it on here. On the big screen. You got me forgetting.
No.
Thank you, Dr. Savage. All right, field trips. Let's see, on 11/20/2025, we have the Spanish class students from the high school leaving at 7:15 to 3:30 p.m. to the Philadelphia Museum of the Arts in Philly. Students will participate in a guided tour of original artwork. November 17th, 2025, we have the 3rd grade students from Fred Douglass Elementary School leaving at 8:10 a.m., returning at 6:30 p.m. They're going to the DC and the Smithsonian Museum, or the Capitol Smithsonian Museum in DC. Students will learn in connection with their shared reading books. And then for April 22, 2026, the 5th grade students from Fred Douglass will leave at 9 a.m., return at 6 p.m. Independence National Park in Philly, students will participate in a tour that aligns with the social studies curriculum. Whew.
And if I may, obviously, we know that there is presently a shutdown with the
Right.
federal government, but we wanted to approve this with the hopes that the November 1, okay, by April, that we're back and operating. So we wanted to have it approved. Obviously, if they're still in shutdown, they will not go. But we wanted to have the approval, hoping that the shutdown would be over and the students would be able to go on the trips.
Right, very well. So we just need a motion to approve.
Mark Serna, move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. All right, the next item on our agenda is facilities request, and we do not have any. The next item on our agenda is BA School Board Operational Goals Policy. And that is Mr. Cameron.
Yes, I'm certainly going to yield to Dr. Savage and Mr. Wright on this, but we're starting in the school board portion of the policy as we continue our rigorous review of policy here in the Seaford School District. The first issue that we had with this is it said School Board of Education Operating Principles 2012. So that was the first thing we felt that needed to get struck from there. And then it goes on to list several categories of a present policy is around educational advocacy, leadership, team development, open communication, so on and so forth. So all stuff that we do and we feel we can cover it in a reg situation. And that's one of the things we've done in this policy review is getting the policy, as we talk about, being the overarching
Right.
of what we do, and then in the regulation of the operational procedure piece. So this cuts down a 2 or 3 page policy into what we have there. So I don't know if Dr. Savage or Mr. Wright, if you have any comment on this.
Yeah, it was a wish list of what you think the board should do, and it doesn't belong in
It
policy,
wasn't
so
policy.
it wasn't policy at all, it's someone's opinion. So,
And then in conjunction with BA in the change of this, we were looking as the approval of this, we'll be looking to eliminate BA-E-1 and BA-E-2, which were basically some like rectangles and rhombuses on paper showing some different things, and it's not, it's as soon as you approve it, it's outdated. And it was the feel of the committee was to remove them. And that is, once again, goes in conjunction with what we've been doing in this update is getting rid of what we feel is unnecessary things that were, I'm sure at the time needed in the policy manual, but are no longer needed for us.
All right, this is the action item. We need a motion to approve the first reading.
Darrell Savage, I move to approve first reading of 7.04 school board policy or school board operation goal policy. Okay.
Motion, we have a second. There's no further questions. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Next one is BE School Board Meetings Policy. And that be you, Mr. Cameron.
Yes, ma'am. So once again, looking at the school board meetings, even though this policy was looked at in April of 24, and I believe at that time it was to bring it up to code in some way, shape, or form. Once again, we're trying to eliminate some of these things around the philosophy of stuff because philosophy is not policy.
Right.
And so once again, we felt we could get rid of a section of philosophy in there and make everything back to BE-R, which is where procedures of a board meeting stand. So that we'll be working when we do policy committee meets in November. We'll be looking at BE-R to make sure it flows with what we do with our board meetings and meets what we have to by Delaware law.
Yep.
What's interesting is this was first adopted, what, 43 years ago?
Yes.
Just saying. All right, this is the action item, and we need a motion to approve the first reading.
Third next, I make a motion to approve the first reading of BE School Board Meeting Policy as presented.
Marcus Serna, second.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. The next item is GBGA, Staff Health Policy. Mr. Cameron?
Yes, I mentioned earlier in the tease that we would be looking at this policy. So Mr. Zoll actually worked on this with our nurses in streamlining this, making sure we're using the proper terminology. Probably around, I guess it's probably close to 10 years ago, the state of Delaware removed that you had to have a physical in order to get employment. And so that was still in our policy. So we needed to remove that. And then also just making sure we have the correct language down in regard to the TB test and what happens there. So, Mrs. Zoll, I don't know if you have any comment, but this is the nurses did this work.
Yeah. the nurse did a nice job, on just making sure the language is correct.
All right, if there are no questions, I just need a motion to approve that this is an action item.
Darren Savage, I move to approve 7.06 staff health policy for first reading.
Second.
All right, we're moving this. All in favor, say aye. Okay. That motion carries. The next item on our agenda is GBK staff concern / complaint / business policy.
Okay, this one was simple. When we changed, the student suspension and student expulsion. We didn't change it in this policy, and as we've talked about in this review, we try to catch everything, we don't pretend that we will catch everything, but as things come up, we'll come to you. So we had to make sure under general number 3, that we're referring to the proper place. So now it's student discipline, JK and JK-R. So that changed in this first reading of GBK, puts us in line to actually reference the right policy in our manual.
All right, so this was an action item, and I would need a motion to approve the first reading.
Mark Servo, to approve the first reading of GBK staff concerns complaints grievances policy as presented.
Second.
All right, with a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. The next item on our agenda is KEAA, parent complaint policy.
And this is very similar to what we just discussed. If you look down at number 3, we removed that student suspension and student expulsion became under student discipline JK and JK-R, JK-R, apologize. So once again, the same thing, we have to make sure we're referencing the proper policy in other policies. So it's just making sure we're in line with our policy manual.
This was an action item. So we need a motion to approve.
Jeff Dixon, I make a motion to approve the first reading of KEAA parent complaints policy as presented.
Mark Servo, second.
Also, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. Next item on our agenda would be FY 26 salary schedule, and that would be by Mr. Patrick Hill.
So last month, if you remember, you approved a custodial salary schedule. There's 2 parts to that. You actually only intentionally approved the first one because the second one, we were working on still, as of the day of the meeting. So or the week of the meeting. So all I'm doing is circling back around so that you can approve the second part of this, because basically what happens is we have 2 layers of this. We have the chiefs and the skilled craft people and the assistant chiefs on the front, and then we normally have the custodials on the second sheet. And so again, we intentionally gave you one. Remember, there was a few sales that were off, and we were going to circle back around with those folks. So this is the updated version for the additional folks, which is chief from the elementary chief through the skilled craftsman and assistant chief. So, any questions?
All right. If there's no questions, this is an action item, and I will need a motion to approve it.
Darren Savage, I move to approve agenda item 7.09 salary schedule as presented.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Any abstentions or recusals? And the motion carries. The next item on our agenda would be our financial report presented by Mr. Hill.
So I have to apologize. I was running late to your meeting tonight because I was having a citizens budget oversight committee. I consider them not only an oversight committee, they help me to stay transparent. So some of the questions we discussed were about transparency and what should be shared even publicly, more so than what we already do, because I feel like we do a really good job. But what other things does the public need to know? Another thing is their advisory committee, I believe, is that they advise me on things. So one of the things they called was, I need to give you another operating expenditure report. This is the one you need to approve. I talked to Ms. Spooler, Mr. Cameron, as well as Mr. Cole is on our citizen budget oversight committee, and we basically approved it. So you can have the rest actually. Is anybody else on or what we basically did was we'll have this actually post this to board docs after the fact, but it will be one of those things where we just need to note that what you're approving was basically updated within the past hour. So All right, so what this does is actually put us in a better state. So instead of 9.6 down here, it's actually 10.1. So what I want to basically call out, we're at 25% of this fiscal year. That's a total of 21% expended, and with the covered, it takes us up to 28.41% of the year. Overall start, again, is always a little higher, so it's nothing abnormal. We've been trending this way, again, it's nothing abnormal here to call out. But we basically have expended 2.9 million with almost $1 million encumbered, taking us up to we're at 3.8 million total, which is right in here, but that's 10.1 million total left in our balance to actually expend on expenses. Any questions on that? Tax collection. This is a good one. That's a good number. 1.3 million in September. Okay. What happens usually is we start ramping up. We'll hit the 1 million range. I'm gonna give y'all a little bit of information that we've received from the county. We've already got this coming months, which has not been put into, we don't have the credit yet, but it's basically we know what we're getting. We've got the statement and they're loading everything, and we're going to basically be at 6.7 million this coming month. So combined over a 2-month period, we'll be at roughly 8 million. Now, I call that out is that y'all recognize that this doesn't even just does cover our local salary match. That doesn't include everything else we do as a district locally. So as much as people say, oh, that's a lot of money, it's really not a lot of money, because when we have to actually take people we pay, we have to either recode them to tuition, we have to recode them to grants out of the consolidated grant. So although it looks like a lot, it's not really, because if we just paid, we'd have $100,000 left if we didn't have all the other grants and other things to move. And so I say that just for clarity so that people understand that as much as coming in, it takes a lot to maintain a district. Even though 3,500 students, 3,600 students doesn't seem like a lot, it's a lot when you look at both the manpower, FTE count that goes into this. But any questions on the taxes received? And the reason I wanted to spend a minute on this is you see it in here as received, but what I'm going to show you in a minute, that when we switch over to the school revenue, well, let's skip down to revenue, which is the next one. It does not show in this report. When we were doing the report later in the month, we were in those times where we had received it. I jokingly told my CPA folks, it was in the savings account, but we hadn't moved it over to checking, so we can spend it. So that's kind of where we were with this. So you will not see that in here. So I just want to call out from a revenue standpoint, overall receipts today are at roughly, go down to the bottom. You're going to be at roughly $4.46 million that has been received. No real concerns at this time. Remember that we have a 1.3 showing up. Next month we'll have the 6.7. So that will get us this number, get us closer to this. This coming month, and I do want to call out, you will see that Charter and Choice is going to hit, because we paid our preload, and all those expenses are going to start hitting. So we're going to see a lot of revenue coming in, but we're going to see things like that start to really go out at the same time. So let me see here. We also are in the process, we were in the process of transferring our senior and disabled vets taxes, which is $503,000, which is basically roughly $500,000 of the preload, because they will settle that up at the end as well. So any questions on monthly revenue? No? Let's go back to set asides. Set asides, again, I want to thank y'all. With the monies that are coming in taxes, we're in a pretty good position next month to go ahead and start utilizing our MCI funds. Usually we're a month further out. One of the things that I make sure that people understand that I've explained this to y'all a few times, but just because we have new people even in the audience, I really want to make sure people understand that this job is really about cash flows. And so cash flows is making sure there's the right amount in the right bucket. And because we don't have some in the MCI, we haven't been able to utilize it yet. When things came in that we had to borrow from ourselves. And that's why we take this money and we set it aside. And so we did last month, again, y'all approved a buildings 107, but what we had to do again, we had to do it again during this month. Is we had another thing that we had to basically borrow from ourselves. Again, it's okay because it's in our set asides for us to do that, but I just want y'all to be aware, if y'all weren't, basically didn't have the foresight to put this money and set it aside, those cash flows become really hard because we're already coding MCI out of something else until MCI comes available because you've got to get the match. So we take all these things and we code stuff and then we have to recode stuff. And this would have been a third layer of that, but luckily because we have this money set aside, we were able to go out and utilize it. So nothing else has been encumbered over this past month, but you will see it next month, a small amount will go up. But again, holding constant at our amount that y'all have approved with only 107 borrowed. All you'll see is that money go back. Because, it's nothing that we're spending, we're just borrowing and putting it back. So, any questions on set asides? All right. Overall, we're in a great in great standing right now. Seems to be, you'll see another financial position report due soon, which I'll bring to the board in the coming month.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, this too is an action item, and we just need a motion to approve the financial report.
With the updates. Darryl said, I move to approve the financial reports with updates as presented.
All right, we have a motion with a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion will carry. The next item on our agenda is our long range agenda. And you'll see that we have some book fairs starting up this month. Matter of fact, one's tomorrow. So if any of you are there, they need the erasers that smell good. It is from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. at Fred Douglass. On the 23rd, we have the fall harvest party at Central Elementary at 5:30. We have a fall book fair at Central. It actually is a good week long, starting the 23rd until the 30th. I'm not sure of the start and end times, but over a week period, you can get in there sometime. So we have the Special Olympics, the 27th of this month, and that's what bocce ball tournament. It'll be at the high school football field, so check it out if you can. And then the first marking period ends on the 29th, so time is flying. Then we have on the 30th, we have the senior panoramic portrait at the high school. And then we all still did those. We still look at our old ones that we do. We have the PCS celebration at Fred on the 30th. Trunk or treat at Fred is on 5:30 on the 30th. They have a skate night at the Laurel Skate World on the 30th, and that's for Central Elementary. Please know that school is closed on the 31st for professional development. And we have National School Psychology Week starting the 3rd of November through the 7th. And thank you, school psychologists, for all that you do, because we do know you do a lot. PTO meeting for West is on the 6th at 5 p.m. An honor roll breakfast at 8 a.m. and 9:15 a.m. at the high school on the 7th. We'll be there. Nourishment awards assembly at West on the 7th. School will be closed for parent conferences. Parents, please, on November the 10th, make arrangements to talk to your scholars, teachers, whether it's telephone, Zoom, in person, reach out to them. Also on the 10th, we have the Pizza King night for the Central Elementary at 5 p.m. We're going to honor our veterans. We have Veterans Day. School will be closed on the 11th. West Seaford have picture retake. So if you didn't like your child with the hood up, November the 12th, you have the opportunity to get a new picture done. Achievement Assembly for Fred will be on the 14th of November. Marking period 1 awards for Blaze Elementary is the 14th. And then we'll be back here on the 17th. A day before my birthday. We're gonna wish your birthday. All right. Next, we will be going into executive session. And we just need a motion to go into executive session from public session.
Mark, sir, I will be at the public session and enter into executive session.
All right, we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. It is 6:44